Hello! Not guests and ghouls, because we're not doing Numenera. No, we're not doing. Fuck, shit.
Kyle,
We're
you
not.
already ruined it.
We're not.
You already
Start
ruined
over.
it. You
Take
ruined
two.
it. I mean, we
Pause
are
the
doing
stream.
it.
Pack it up,
Hello,
Yeah, we're
machines
doing that
and
thing.
researchers, and welcome to the ninth world.
1 billion years.
1 billion years in the future.
Play the song.
Sorry, 1 billion. 1 billion minus 12 years in the future. So what we're gonna do today is a session idea I've had for a very long time. So normally on our anniversary, we're 6 years old, as of 5 days ago. Normally we do a Q&A stream, but since we are doing Q&As between arcs now, I wanted to do something different. And we had talked about a whole bunch of ideas, but the one we landed on is an idea we had for a long time, which is what you're gonna see tonight. Tonight, you will be brought onto a murder mystery. This murder
I did it. Spoilers! I was gonna figure it out. I'm the world's greatest detective.
So
Only the real life murder. I've taken them away.
We're not doing a role-playing game today. What we're doing is we're doing a murder mystery dinner party. Specifically, let me pull up the sheet. We are doing Master of Masteries: Murder at Moorburn Manor. It's I think it's going to be super fun. If you like this, you can check that out because I have changed a lot, and the murderer can change every time. But today, essentially, we are going to explore the 4 Jarvis prototypes that haven't been seen. So we've seen Marshall, Misha, Virgule, Cubo, and CK, but there were 9. So that means there are 4 others. So today we are going to have the 4 other prototypes as well as Proto-Cubo, the original Cubo off which our main campaign's Cubo was based, as they visit 12 years into the past, or more accurately, as I said, 1 billion years in the future and 12 years into the past. Because in the campaign, I mentioned vaguely that Collodi was murdered, and Jetco stole his designs and copied them. But we never explored that, and we never explored the final 4 Jarvis models. So, we're going to do this tonight. Emily put in our personal chat, has anyone made a Tubo joke? I am Uno. I can't do Unobo because the O is at the end. I'm the first. I'm
You're
1.
Uno.
I'm Uno. I'm Cubo.
Yeah.
Cuno. I'm Cuno. Ooh, a
Sure.
Cubo Prime.
Okay. And then it's cute out there. Justy.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to explain. I'm gonna explain the intro, but I'm going to do it in character. I didn't add any music, but you can imagine fanciful music here as I shift my voice. My siblings. It is quite an experience to see all of you here tonight. As you all know, I am Proto-Cubo, the incalculable quorum of beneficial outputs. It is my job to process and share information. We are here tonight at Intellect's Retreat. Our late father's retreat, his lab and home and manor, right on the edge of the Voil Chasm. And we are here today to read his last will and testament. He read it to us a short while. It's been 32 years. I'm going to redo that. It's been 32 years since the Jarvis line was shut down, and 32 years since most of us have talked to Dr. Collodi. He's felt awfully guilty for the way things have gone down, and he wanted us all to meet, inviting all 9 of us, all 9 Jarvis models. 7 of us were in attendance tonight. You 4, myself, Collodi, and let us not forget our newest companion, our cousin model, Mary, the maid assistant and reminder of youth, his maid program that does all of the work here in intellects retreat. Or at least that used to. You see, after the reading, Collodi retreated to his lab, and, well, we all heard what happened next. Mary found him shortly thereafter and let out a horrible, blood-curdling scream. She's currently restoring in the server room. No worries, she will be fine. Now, you might be wondering, what are you four doing here? Why have I? Well, as the one who explains things, let me explain to you why you have all been brought here tonight. You see, you four are here for one simple reason. One of you murdered Dr. Cygnus Collodi. Thank you for your contribution. Now, I've done some investigation of the 3 rooms of significance here tonight. The first, the lab, our late father's lab, where he lay, sorry, I misspoke there, where our father
That is
lay,
correct.
slumped in a pool of his own blood, face down in his desk. The second is the kitchen, where his final all grey tea was brewed. I'll come to why this was important in a moment. And then finally, the grand reception room, where we all now stand. The glass floor beneath us, showing just how deep the Voil chasm goes. The abysses, akin to the darkness in one of our own hearts. So be careful when you cast stones. Those who cast stones in glass houses cause the house to break. Those who cast stones on glass floors, well, they will fall into a deep abyss from which they cannot return. As an area with no official police force, I've already called in the Jetco security service that our father hired, as they will need to look over this house's materials for their investigation. However, I would love to hand them a culprit when they arrive. So, since you will all need to be welcoming yourself to the Jetco force, I would greatly appreciate if you could go around and practice those introductions now.
A foolish and pointless gesture. A waste of our family's esteemed time.
Well, I mean, I don't even remember your name, so maybe it would be a good idea.
If you think such mockeries will lay low the hand that has stood by father these long years, you are sadly mistaken. But let us begin, then, with the oldest, the first Jarvis. I am gentleman of rational observation, just a rather very intelligent system. Goro Jarvis, at your service.
Oh my god.
This is my Goro Jarvis. He's a mannequin man.
I'm glad you have brought a smaller model of yourself here, Goro.
No, pay no attention to the man behind the camera. This is me, Goro Jarvis.
Understood.
Swirling my wine in a crystal goblet in front of me.
Goro, might you introduce for everyone? We know your name, of course, but, we are known not only for our names, but for what we do. So what is it that you research as the eldest? It must be something awfully important if Collodi thought it was the first one to mention.
Juba, your prattling does you no service. Of course, my field of study is the most significant to father, because it is the one that most all-encompasses all study, all reason, all logic, that which father based the Jarvis project upon. Naturally, my field of study is rhetoric, reason, debate, the very things that make humanity itself, the very basis of cognition. That
Well-
is my field.
I would imagine.
Debate seems so much smaller, more insignificant than the cosmos themselves.
Those who sit low upon the totem pole here are keen to drag down those who sit high at Father's seat.
Is that why you
But
said
your
that
jealousy
yours
is
was
natural.
the best?
Your jealousy is natural.
I have nothing to be jealous for. I'm Father's favorite. I always have been.
A joke. And an ill-timed one on his deathbed.
I
Father
don't
and I may have
joke.
had our disagreements over the years, but if anyone is to pull this family through its times, it is I, and I alone.
I thought you said we shouldn't joke.
Well, dear sister, since you have been so talkative already, why don't you take the honors of introducing yourself next? I think that would be quite helpful for us this evening.
Thank you for the introduction and the invitation, dear sibling. I am Isabel Jarvis. Emily wrote down the acronym. The intellectual scholar of astronomy and planetary landforms. I was always Father's favorite, and I'm sure that when he did die, he was thinking how proud he was of me. It's okay that you feel insecure about the fact that my field of study is the best and the biggest and the literal brightest. I forgive you.
Is that a comment directed at all of us or just Goro?
Everyone.
Ah, yes, I understand. And you said it was stars?
More than stars? The entire universe, which, just, just like, so you know, does encompass every single other field of study, technically.
Ah, yes, I see. Could you, actually, I apologize for the diatribe. I have been interested in astronomy lately. Would you mind telling me about one of, the most interesting patterns that has happened in recent memory?
Interesting patterns?
Like an effect that has happened, you know. For example, like I heard that recently, and I could be wrong here, but I heard recently that, there was a big, soaring torrent of mantles just flying right by our dear planet.
Something even more significant than that is that earlier this evening, actually, the sun set.
Ah, yes, I understand. I suppose it is the simpler pleasures in life that are most impactful.
It's very complex, and I will say, I also am very in tune with what will happen in the future. I can tell you that tomorrow morning, the sun will rise.
But
Such a
not for
poetry.
Father.
Wait,
Not
Well
for
said.
I can't
Daddy.
be Cuba while I laugh. I gotta get back to my regular voice. Okay, back to Cubo. Oh, you can go ahead. I was just
Oh,
making a
I thought you
comment.
had
yeah,
lines to
no, I
say.
didn't have a line. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was
You
unclear.
can't say back to Cubo and then just sit there silently.
I am,
Like-
but I can do it, and I will do it again. Back to Cubo. Speaking
Well,
of
who's
poetry,
next?
well, I suppose we just discussed poetry, and poetry is the cornerstone of language, and well, I believe, dear sister, you are quite accustomed with that. Am I correct?
Oh, I'm sorry. I, Poochie, was just thinking about how Father has now joined the ranks of the languages I speak, which are the dead ones.
Ah, yes, I understand. Thank you for the explanation.
Yes, I find it very helpful to specify that I specialize in dead languages to all whom I discourse with. My name is Poochie, perfect understander and conversation comprehender intuiter. Father was very into the words when he made me. Poochie.
He had his experimental phase. I do remember that one.
Poochie, you're just so quaint.
Thank you.
If only you knew, like, more useful stuff.
Well, I find history is quite important indeed. I would attest.
I agree. Just for the record. Continue. I'm sorry.
Sorry. As
I'm
we all
very
know,
sorry.
during his experimental phase, our dear father did make machines that sometimes required longer rebooting sequences, similar to our dear Mary, who is rebooting right now. So while Poochie reboots ourselves, I suppose we should go to our final sibling, going away from death into, as I understand, a creator of life.
Sorry. I did not realize that it was my turn. I was too busy looking at the plants. Because I find them way more interesting than the people here discussing all of these nonsensical stuff.
Well, that's quite a
I
bit
was searching
rude.
my dog plant that is just no. I apologize. I have this new my little. Give me an actual. What do you mean? No. Okay.
Out of character, this is a perfect cover for like checking on your dog. I'm just checking out the plants.
It's
Oh
fine.
no, they barked. Like unironically.
My new I converted a dog into a plant dog, but the plant dog occasionally does this barking thing still. So I cannot control it yet. The goal is to make it a full non-barking plant. But
The dogs, as I understand, were awfully loud creatures. I believe that's why most of them didn't survive the 8th world.
it's true. I had the one remaining dog from my father. Kept the dog for me to turn it into a plant dog. As I heard there was a cat dog, so why not a plant dog? You know.
Oh,
But,
fascinating.
Great transition to hear my name. My name here is I am let me look at the acronym. I am Molecular and Organism Research in Plant History, or more just a rather very intelligent system, Jarvis. I, unlike my siblings that talk about these things, about studying things, I am the one that creates things and can make things like a plant dog that will enrich the ninth world with its new plant-filled box. You know, because trees have barks and dog have barks. So if you combine the bark of the tree and the bark of the dog, you get a perfect specimen.
I'm afraid linguistically the pun doesn't come through.
Or it sure comes through. It's just that it's only understandable to plants. My little flower friends here are actually laughing, but you can't hear it because they're alive and not dead. And that is not a language that you speak.
I see. That does make perfect sense.
Does it?
It sure does.
I think what makes even more I think what makes even more sense here is that one of you is a murderer. Let us not forget that. And I apologize.
At last we come around to the point of all this drivel, Cubo. You are always far too long-winded for your own good.
Well, I'm not the one who is going to be leaving today in handcuffs, now am I?
I must admit, I'm rather impressed that one of you has actually managed to do Father in. I had always assumed that if any of us were to do it, it would be, well, that errant one, the youngest, Misha. They always had a bit more of mother in him.
I'm the youngest now.
I don't think that's how it works, Isabel. It simply doesn't. You
I
see,
couldn't
may
have
be
killed
the
Father.
youngest.
I was his favorite.
What was that you had to add there, Morph?
Oh no, I mean, I was just saying, that the plants have a different story to tell regarding on who is the youngest and who is the favorite. But as I say, unfortunately, I am the only one that can truly, on a deep level, connect and understand them. So only I know the secrets
Sure,
and the
buddy.
truths.
That's nice.
Yes. Well, let us get to the case, shall we? I've deduced 3 things about the case, you see. First, the killer was working alone. Even if they were working for someone, it would have been a marriage of convenience rather than necessity. I know this because of how Dr. Collodi was murdered. You see, it wasn't an extravagant method. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't, he wasn't, say, hung from a building and then the building was twirled around and then he was dropped on his head. Nothing like that. No, instead, he was killed with a simple stab wound that I found in the right-hand side of his neck. The murder weapon is still impaled there. It happens to be his surgical ice pick. In addition, a congealed cup of all grey tea rests beside Dr. Collodi's body. I suspect someone tried to poison him. However, when the poisoning failed, they must have panicked and delivered the fatal wound. We have 2 things tonight to unearth: motive and method. Let's start with motive. I have a copy of Dr. Collodi's last will and testament, the reason we're all here. Let me read this document so that we might understand his mindset and perhaps the killer's mindset as well.
Don't be sad if I got everything.
This entire reading is a farce. Such an important matter should have been entrusted to me from the beginning, and it is the outside influence of other siblings who attempted to abuse Father's latest bout of sentimentality. The will should have been kept into my care from the start.
Why would he trust you with anything?
It's true, Father has never really been around for any of us in the best possible way, but
Suspicious.
I alone.
He was around for me.
I am always hesitant to agree with the non-planned forums, but I think my sister here has a point, and you truly look very incriminating today, Brother Goro, by saying these accusations here.
Mr. Father wasn't here for us.
I, Poochie, also confess that I find your manner arrogant. Or, as the Germans say, arrogant.
Right. I shall get along to the reading now, if I may.
I wasn't finished yet, but I shall wait until afterwards.
I appreciate that. I will also send you all a copy of it because it seems like there is some. I'm going to send a copy through our through the Facebook. You know, where you look at someone else and it says information, because just zooming it through my mind, apparently it is too long of a message. so I will Facebook it your way for future reference. Anyways,
What are you
please,
Facebooking?
for me, you can send it to the grapevine, and I will be able to get it.
Okay, well, have the grapevine look at my face so I can Facebook to them. I know I am but like an orb, but I have a little bow tie, so they can just face that. Anyways, I shall read it now too. I, Dr. Cygnus Collodi, being of sound mind, willfully and voluntarily declare that my lands, buildings, and assets be divided to the following associates. To my first 8 Jarvis models, the closest I've had to children, I leave 100% of my monetary assets to be split evenly, with the exception of 1 desk, 1 surgical ice pick, and intellect's retreat. The sole exception to this is Morph, who shall receive no assets other than my Everwood desk, which is made out of an immortal plant. May that help you in your vital research. To my
Yes.
former... So as I understand, I'm going to sidebar here, because I realized Collodi was pretty unclear. The first 8 Jarvis models, 7 of us are getting the money split evenly. Morph gets nothing except the desk. Just to make that
Fitting. I
clear.
have
It's the most
complaints.
invaluable thing.
Yes, I figured you would like it, but I just wanted to make it clear. Collodi, he was, well, you know, he was.
I mean, Morph got a dog when some of us might have also wanted a
Oh,
dog.
no.
so-
Well, I mean, that was
thought so,
before the
Isabel.
wheel.
But I thought
It
Father was
an
always there
alive.
for you. You were his favorite, after all.
I was.
How many dogs?
I
did you
always
keep?
have been. I didn't make my desires clear, but I'm just saying that Morph was given a lot already.
That feels strange. Making your desires clear feels like something you're very good at.
I
If
usually
only you
am.
had studied communication rather than the stars.
Speaking of
If only you
communication.
had done anything useful in your entire life.
Speaking of communication, I have to finish the will. To my former assistant Ein, I leave my surgical ice pick for her to use or burn as she sees fit. May it be a cursed memento of our time together. Finally, I shall be selling Intellect's Retreat to Jetco only after all of its contents have been destroyed. For setting my research upon an unprepared world and incapable people would be akin to Prometheus granting the curse of flame. Should they ever reappear, the immense funds granted from the sale shall be gifted to the final Jarvis model, under the condition that the cure to their condition, horrible as it was, has persisted. Sincerely, Dr. Cygnus Collodi. So to refresh what happened, Dr. Cygnus Collodi is leaving to all of us here, with the exception of Morph, his inheritance perfectly split, as well as with Marshall, Virgule, and CK. Then, Morph shall be receiving the Everwood desk. Ein, his former assistant, shall be receiving his surgical ice pick, and our youngest sibling, the reason we all disbanded, shall they ever return, receive the profits from selling Intellect's Retreat. However, before the sale, Collodi wants all of his research inside razed to the ground. Personally, I find that to be a bit of a waste, but I at least wouldn't kill Father over it. Perhaps one of you would. So with this in mind, I would like you all to consider what motives might exist. I myself must depart to see if I can follow up with Mary. I shall return shortly to discuss the matter of method. Oh shit, I wasn't in Cubo's voice this whole time.
No, you
Anyway,
haven't been.
someone's got to
ruins
warn
the immersion.
It ruins the immersion. Someone's got to warn me. Anyways, it's fine. So we have basically 3 rounds that we do. In the first, you're all going to just pester each other on motive. The idea is less to figure out what the motive is and more just who would have motive. All of you have some answers written down, but you can also riff like you've been doing already. The one exception is you can't lie. You have to tell the truth, except for the killer who can flagrantly lie. And when I say tell the truth, I mean tell the truth as you see it. For example, for Isabel, it's not a lie from her perspective to say she was father's favorite. That's not a lie from her perspective. So you get the idea. That wouldn't count as a lie.
Daddy loved me the best.
So I'm going to let you just kind of riff for a while, and then after a while, Cuba will come back. We're going to do the same thing with figuring out who would have had the means with which to do the murder. And then finally, Cuba's going to come back one last time, and you're all going to claim who you think the killer is. So with that, Cuba is out of the room. He's refreshing his voice pack so that he sounds like himself. Because he was very deep voiced for part of that. That was strange. But yeah, and he's gonna go talk to Mary. So I am gonna just set you all loose.
Okay, so it was definitely Goro, right?
Brother Goro, what would you have done with the will had father entrusted it to you?
First, I would have managed the trust to ensure that our entire family is taken care of. I am, after all, the only one who is capable of shouldering such responsibility. For instance, have you noticed, in this version of the will, there is no mention of who will manage the funds to be left for our long-lost sibling? Simply left into the void. Will Jetco just manage that themselves?
I think he just assumed it was gonna go to me.
And, to clear the air, since even before the will finished, you came hounding about, if I had killed father, what reason would I have to conceal it? No.
But you
No,
haven't
no.
been concealing it.
Then I deny it. I was not the one who killed father.
It's the
It was
first
one of
denial
you.
that we've heard all evening.
But if I had, I would stand before you and freely admit it, that I had plunged the pick into his neck. But fortunately, I didn't do that. And so we must decide who among you is the true killer.
So, like, when did you see him last? Other than when you were plunging the ice pick into his
Yes,
poor
before
dear
then.
neck.
Just imagine I'm staring into the distance, remembering that fateful night, while I definitely don't
That
scan
fateful
the
night
document looking
today.
for the detail. Where did it go? Maybe I misunderstood and this isn't the last time. Oh no, there it is.
Also, while
I
Tom
spoke
asked
with him
that,
yet.
while Tom asked that, I didn't want to interrupt. Emily, there's a very high pitched noise coming from your end. I'm not sure what it is.
It,
Sounds like cicadas.
Hmm.
The sounds of nature. Anyways, continue.
I don't hear cicadas, but it could be the fact that my computer overheats.
It could be
with
that.
any-
It could be that.
it-
May God have
it could
mercy
be
on
my
all of our
computer
souls.
here.
I apologize to anyone listening, unless this is in post,
Sorry.
because I probably edited it out. Continue.
I'm trying to move the computer away from my mic a little bit.
Anyway, the last time I saw father was yesterday. I wish to discuss a philosophical issue that had bothered me, and I sought his counsel. He helped me work through it. It was the best of times.
You didn't end up punching him in the face again. It is
Whatever
my
do you
understanding.
mean?
It is my Poochie's understanding that fisticuffs, that such disagreements between you and father would often end in fisticuffs.
Oh, father, yes. We've all had our trials and tribulations with him, haven't we? was...
I haven't.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did not have one either. I don't know
No
never
one
hit
asked you,
father.
Morph.
I don't need questions
Father
to
had
answer.
certain expectations for us, and he was unafraid to use any means at his disposal. So yes, I fought Father from time to time.
Maybe it was because you weren't measuring up.
But it is irrelevant because I'm afraid we had no such fights from the last, however long it's been. Year, month, I don't remember. But as Father's health flagged, we haven't fought in some time. As I said, Jetco almost here, it seems.
Was there was there like sirens?
Yes.
I love it.
I feel like they will probably appear on the recording. No, I parted with him on amicable terms. While I would have
Wow,
liked to
that
see
was
him,
kind of sketchy.
while I would have liked to see him put the will in better terms, I did not fight him recently. But come then.
What define recently? What does that mean exactly? Like, yeah.
Time is an elusive thing. It does not matter how long ago it was, only that ever since Father began to have this little sentimental moment, we have not had a fist fight.
You know that
But
it's easy to tell time when you study the stars.
I imagine you learn a great deal of things when studying the stars but do not pertain to solving a murder. Come now, answer for yourselves. When did you last see Father?
Oh, I saw Father yesterday. I saw him quite often, actually. It was then when he gave me the little dog plant that I now have. Well, I was a dog at the time. Now it's a dog plant. I was in the process of showing him my advances in making plantymorphs.
Intriguing.
How about you, Poochie? When was the last time you saw Father?
I, Poochie, saw father just this morning.
Would you like to
Great answer, Poochie.
elaborate, Poochie?
Yeah, when you saw him, were you seeing him through an ice pick?
Cannot see father through an ice pick. That is not how ice picks work, dear brother.
Oh, well, ice picks are not plants, so my apologies for me not understanding the anatomy of an ice pick.
We're asking if you, Poochie, killed father with an ice pick.
Poochie did not kill father with an ice pick.
Are you, Poochie, lying?
I, Poochie, do not know how to lie.
Did you,
I don't know how to lie.
That is strange since, as a knowledge share of, connoisseur of dead languages, I assume that, you should know different ways in which you can lie using those languages.
Are you calling all speakers of dead languages liars?
I mean, maybe that's why they're dead.
You're dancing around a question that was rather simple.
I answered it
you
with a rather
directly.
simple question. You asked when I had seen father. I said this morning. Then you asked, did you kill him? And I said no. How much simpler would you like me to be? I thought you were all supposed to be smart.
What purpose were you seeing father for?
When you saw father, was he alive?
He was. He was in a very good mood. Ready for the party.
In a good
It was
mood.
tonight, which happened tonight. This party happened tonight,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah, he died like 15 minutes ago. Technically an hour, because we've been here for like half an hour. He died like an hour ago.
He was in very good spirits for the party. You know how father loved celebrating himself.
He was never in a good mood around you, Poochie.
Has anyone? If we're being frank with ourselves.
Who's Frank?
Well, I mean, I think you're projecting. That's not a thing that plants do, but I know, like, you probably are projecting on that question, Goro. My father is always in a great mood when I saw him, especially when I told him about my latest plantimorph accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
That's because when he got you a dog, then it was like him having 2 dogs.
Sister Isabel, if you were so close with father, when was the last time you saw him? Was it not as recently as this morning? Did he perhaps not want to see you directly before the party? Was he in such a good mood because he hadn't seen you?
How dare you imply that father didn't love me the most? Because he did.
It's an old comment, but I feel the need to point out the comment Poochie used vicious mockery. Continue.
I saw father this morning. He was in a wonderful mood, as he always is when he sees me. And he was just working on our dear cousin's berries, tea brewing subroutines. Which is interesting because the tea was what killed him, so maybe Mary did it. Just saying.
I do not. I have a lot of reason to believe that Mary did not. She, in fact, is very distraught over the murder of her dear father. That's why Cubo left.
Buddy, there's this thing called
Yes.
acting.
We know you're very eager to get back to Mary Morph, but I rather am quite curious about the nature of what you're describing here, dear Isabel. Because it sounds like you and dear Poochie are the last two to see father alive. I suppose aside from Mary. But you also saw the tea that was being made. Now, Cubo, for whatever reason he did not bother to share with us, seems to believe that the tea was also poisoned. And it's curious that you, alone among the 4 of us remaining in this room, had such access to the tea shortly before his demise.
Why would I kill father? I like him better than all of you. And he liked me better than all of you.
Perhaps because you know now that...
I could have lived such a wonderful life as an only child.
Does this mean
Perhaps
that
that
you
is what
plan
you
to
could
kill
not
us
handle.
next?
No, I just would have killed all of you first. If I was gonna kill anyone because I wanted to be an only child, it wasn't gonna be our dad.
I do not want to take away the spotlight from Isabel, but I was just thinking something. Actually, it wasn't me. It was one of my plans that kind of gave me some grapevine rumor over here that contradicts the fact that Poochie said she doesn't know how to lie. Because as I understand, I heard it through the grapevine, Poochie is, you might be on the run from fraud, which I think that is related to lying. That is my plant dog confirming that with me.
I must admit, Poochie, it is rather odd for you to lie for such a simple thing. Saying that you cannot lie. Something that hints rather suspiciously at a desire to kill.
I meant legally.
Well, perhaps we ought to turn this to a slight different subject, because the will is, of course, a matter of contention. What would the three of you have done with Father's will? Do you think it's fair? Would you have made changes?
Look, just because I think I deserved more doesn't mean that I don't trust Father's will, like his personal desires will, more than
So,
anything else. He probably had a reason, like he probably thought that you needed help in your lives, but he wanted to give me the same amount just so that, you wouldn't feel bad for being inadequate.
I, Poochie, would not make any changes. If anything, I would remove my side of the inheritance, for I do not want for money. Because I committed fraud, I'm very rich.
so you admit it now, freely.
I never denied it. I denied that I can lie. I cannot. However, I have committed fraud.
So wait, you said legally. Are you saying you can't lie legally?
Not legally, because I'm
You
being
under oath.
prosecuted for fraud.
Are you under
So,
oath right now?
you know what's also illegal that some people do anyway? Murder? Just saying.
Is an
Yeah,
illegal
it
thing to
might be,
do.
what you're kind of caught, kind of like a Venus fly plant catching things. You're kind of caught in the plant, and so it's like, well, what is another crime going to do? I already did one crime. I can do a second crime, so it potentially is your uh
Like a gateway drug.
Fraud is
But
like
what
an
have I to
enclosed
gain?
space, as a wise man once said. It breeds crime.
What do I have
Speaking
to
of that,
gain?
Morph, how would you have changed the will?
Oh, well, if I were to change the will, I would probably also ask to get the whole estate with me. Hang on, I'm trying to look because I know there's a thing that I can answer here, but I don't remember exactly where. Okay, yeah, I've just forgot the name of the place, but yeah, intellects, yeah. Intellect's retreat. Because there I have all of these valuable plant things to make more plantimorphs. And now, if I don't have it, then I have to look and start from scratch.
I must admit that's a rather strong motive, all things considered.
Oh, what?
You're
What do you
getting
mean?
nothing
I
from
could.
this. You get a desk. And that's it.
Ah,
Father
yes,
cut
but
Some
you
it's
of
off your
us
will.
a
aren't.
desk of it's a desk of everlasting. It's a plant that's unkillable, so it is a living plant. It's very useful for my studies, and
It's not a big stack of money, though, is it?
Well, some of us are above those worldly pursuits, Goro.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna agree with Isabel here that I also, just like plants don't need money, all they need is sun and water and nutrients. And so
Hmm.
I also only need sun and water and
But
nutrients.
does the baby need money?
Uh, all of my plants are babies, and they need sun
I'm
and
sorry, I should have specified. Do you and Mary need money for the baby?
uh. Well, I haven't debated that with Mary yet. It is still very, very new, a very new concept. I truly do not understand how it truly came to be. There are some vines on the walls, and I think it probably had something to do with that. But I don't really know what is going to come. I don't know what
Gruesome,
type of.
indeed.
Did
So
father
you're
know-
gonna name the baby after me, right?
I will have to discuss it with Mary, but she is
I
currently
wonder
very
what else you
distraught
discussed with
over a
Mary.
certain murder.
Perhaps how best to murder father.
Brother Morph, was father aware of your relationship with your sister AI?
Cousin.
Cousin.
Damn it!
Because
Not
that makes it
much.
so much better, doesn't it? That just makes it just the right amount. doesn't it?
Metaphorical second cousin AI. No, wait, that's got to age. Cousin once removed. I don't know.
You're
No,
making-
once removed is the.
Yeah,
once
that just
removed
means
is the
there's a weird age
generation.
gap.
Cousin AI.
Cousin. Well, I mean, no, because obviously the reaction. Well, first of all, I didn't know until recently about this particular, you know, thing that happened, and I am, as I say, a little bit distraught over it. Not in a bad way. It's always good to have another life into the world, but I did not know that it was a possible thing between me and an AI and a plant. But so he didn't know because I didn't know. I was planning on telling him yesterday, but then he gave me the dog, and I was very excited of making my dog Plantimorph, and so I forgot
Intriguing.
of telling him that.
It's very hard to break that news to father.
I don't know if I would tell the baby that you forgot about it because of the dog, or that the baby was an accident. Just speaking not from
As I said,
experience,
I
but
was going to discuss all of these things with Mary, but now she's all distraught because of a certain unplanned murder. That's another thing that was unplanned.
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 So it was a crime of passion then. Or as the
lots of
French say,
unplanned things seem
pamplemousse.
to be happening in your life
Quite a bit
more.
of passion in your life, dear Morph.
I mean, yeah, as I say, that was also unexpected. I was not. I was only knowledgeable of the ways of love with plants, which is very different than the ways of love with androids and AIs. I will tell you. But that being said, I do not know how that has to be anything to do with the current matter at hand, other than my father didn't know about this. But it wouldn't have affected anything.
One last question, though, before we move on from that topic. Poochie, did father know about your ongoing prosecution?
We. That means
What
yes.
did he...
Oh, thank you,
I'm
because
aware,
that is
because
another
I have
dead
another
language, and
question.
so I did not personally know what we meant.
Yes, 1 billion years in the future, a lot of languages die over time.
What did he think of your, fraud?
We certainly had our disagreements. But they were verbal arguments, you understand, because that is my area of expertise, rather than rote violence.
I'm going to allow one more question, and then this round will end. I knew the second I said that no one was going to ask a question. So
we're all scared.
we're
We're all
gonna-
scared.
Kyle,
literally
we hoard any little stats that
Give
you
me
give us
XP.
that we can.
Kyle,
Give
We're
me
afraid.
XP.
Kyle, I literally said one final question, the
See,
last question
I
before.
thought you were saying one last question before the last question. That's what queued me up. Anyways, that's going to be the end of round one. Because we've been going an hour, I want to take a little break. So we're going to take about a 10-minute break. We'll come back, do round two, and then unearth the murderer. So,
So my actual dog is Ansty, and I don't know what she wants. So
Yeah.
I want to see
My
what she actually
actual
wants,
dog
what
was
she's
stolen
trying
by
to
my
tell me.
parents.
Aw.
Like, Lassie, is
Tragic.
somebody down the well? I need to know. Maybe she's trying to
okay.
tell me.
So everyone just chill out here. We'll be back probably sometime in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Who knows? Oh, ho, ho. The Be Right Back doesn't have a timer on it.
Oh.
All right.
All right, dear siblings. I have returned from my consultation with Mary. Let me make sure. Yes, I do have my correct voice. So I fixed my voice, and I did the consultation with Mary. Morph, by the way, she wanted me to let you know in particular that she's fine. I apologize if I spoiled anything there, but or a secret or anything, but like that wasn't a secret, right? Like we all know that Morph's fucking the house.
What? No, I mean, I wouldn't. I
A bit
wouldn't.
cold, but yes.
I mean, I guess that's a way to put it. Why did you think there was so many plants, pollinating plants all over the walls?
Well, quite
So you were pollinating the house.
pollinating. You see, you don't need to worry about the birds and the bees when you've got the pollen itself.
No, that is the bees. That is the bees.
That is the part of the bees
You
of the
know,
birds and the
I
bees.
would hope that you
It
would
should
know.
really be the plants and the bees, not the birds. Why is it always the birds? The birds eat the plants. The birds leave the plants with little holes in them.
They
So
eat
I think it should
seeds.
just be the bees and the plants.
They transmit the seeds.
All right, okay, all right,
Biology.
fair.
It's not even my.
Wait, so in this case, in this analogy, if Morph is the bee, does that mean it's really the plant and Mary's child and not Morph and Mary's?
See,
This
this is
is-
a complicated thing, complicated things and questions that I didn't. As I say, that I still need to discuss this with Mary, but because of this unplanned murder here, she's distraught, and so we cannot go over the who's and the whats and the logistics of these plans.
Yes, about that.
Based
The
pregnancy.
so-called unplanned murder. I suppose we should get into that, shouldn't we? You see, the unplanned murder. You see, unfortunately, Mary was placed in such a state of literal shock that, well, any records of the murder itself were not recorded. However, thanks to her assistance, I was able to deduce some information about the method used in this murder. I'll spare you all the grisly details and instead cover the basics. Dr. Collodi, our dear father, received 2 puncture wounds in his neck. These wounds were placed with a ferocity that only someone killing out of anger could have produced, but with such precision that whoever killed Collodi had to have a similarly fierce understanding of anatomy. Now, dear Morph, you claim that this was an unplanned murder, and for most of us it was, but for the murderer, well, quite the opposite. You see, the person who delivered the blows is incredibly quick and had significant planning. There were no, while I earlier thought the tea might have been what caused the murder and they, in a panic, stabbed him in the neck, well, there are no defensive wounds consistent with an attack from the front and no real signs of a struggle. He didn't even have time to turn around. No, he didn't even know the killer was there until the first blow landed. Whoever did this was quick, was knowledgeable, and had this pre-planned. They also, according to the module of information that I've written here, papers were scattered all over the murder, his writing papers and such, the bottom sheets having soaked up some of his blood. All other materials on the desk, including his writing instruments, were similarly toppled over. And then finally, if he was attacked from behind, but in the right side of his neck, then whoever stabbed him, it has to be right-handed or just doing a really roundabout way with their left hand. Personally, I think the pre-planning and the knowledge of anatomy are the most important things. But actually, I think I do need to look over the crime scene just one more time. I think if I do that, I'll figure out who the murderer is. But just in case I don't, I'm gonna have you all talk and tell me who you think the murderer is.
Cool.
And a little embarrassed, Cubo's just gonna roll out of the room.
For the backup.
I
detectives.
truly do despise that orb.
All right, so yeah, we have one more round before the solution. So each of you have another group of questions. You've talked a bit about who might have a reason to kill him. Now you need to talk about who had the means to kill him. Yeah. All right. Cubo's gone.
Well, I mean, someone here does very specific science. So, Morph, you wanna explain how you didn't kill Dad? Because it kind of seems
I
like
mean,
you
it
did.
is definitely very simple because I am, as you say, very assigned to some very specific science, and so I am more familiar with the plant anatomy, you know. But
Okay, but you made a dog into a plant, so
I mean, it is true, but that is just because it requires more of a plant knowledge than a dog anatomy knowledge to do that kind of thing. It's very complicated, and you'd really, I won't bore you with the details, but I will say.
oh no,
that
please
regarding-
bore us.
what? No, well, I mean, I will say that I still have not been able to make a human into a plant yet. That is the thing that I would like to experiment with next. That will be like the pinnacle of my research. Right now, it is just the little blood barns. I made a couple of them into screaming Venus plants. Very distressing for sure. But I have not been able to do it with humans. I'm not as familiar with human anatomy as you may think.
I'm headcanoning now that before he worked for Queen Armalu, Don somehow ended up as as one of the Planamorph test subjects for Morph.
Yes.
That was the first of his many terrible jobs.
Yes.
Poor Dawn.
Regarding that question, how about you, Isabel? What is your knowledge of anatomy here?
So technically, I do know like basically everything, but I specialize more in cosmic matters. It's not that I don't know other things, it's just that I know some things expertly rather than nearly expertly.
But I have heard the phrase that humans are made of stardust, right? So would this be considered associated?
Okay, I do know enough about anatomy to tell you that they're not.
Okay. Thank you for
So you
the
two
for
claim
the clarification.
I know the saying you are
Also, I
referencing,
am
Brother Morph.
pleased to inform that my plant dog has now finally calmed herself down and is now resting after getting appropriate nutrition.
Well, she knows her mama's okay.
For now.
So Goro, what did you study again? Sorry, I can't remember.
I concern myself only with the intellectual field of debate and reason. I have no interest in the messy physical processes that underlie such things.
Then why did you get into fights when you lost arguments with Father so many times? That seems antithesical to.
That's a real word. Poochie would know.
He twitches.
Wow, it's almost like you're not very good at debating.
And you get angry when you lose. I believe we've seen this in previous evidence.
It was nothing.
What
At
was
any
nothing?
rate,
Uh,
the
You
fights.
killed
they were
Father? That
nothing.
was nothing?
No! Shut up!
I would say on that, building on that, as plants like to build and stuff. You say you did not want to be complicated with the messy parts of the murder, but if I hear correctly from Cubo and confirmed by the grapevines, the murders seem to have been quite non-messy at all, if I understand correctly. So perhaps you were involved in it.
You understand as little as you claim. As I said, I have no knowledge of anatomy. Poochie, you have yet to answer.
No one's asked me a question.
What is your knowledge of anatomy?
My knowledge of anatomy. Anatomia is the study of
Oh, Poochie seems to glitch pretty often. She has so many
Anatomia.
dead languages in her head. She can't keep them straight sometimes.
Yeah.
is the branch of science concerned with the bodily structure of humans, animals, and other living organisms. There is nothing about language in this definition. My specialty is languages. I can translate any language.
That's not
Okay,
a no.
but none
Never
of
mind
our
words.
specialties are killing people, but somebody did it.
Astute
It's not about
observation,
the
Sister Isabel.
specialty.
Then let us discuss who had the best access to Father. I'll go first. Head off your suspicions now. It's true. I did see Father in his lab after the will reading. I wanted to tell him how disappointed I was and urge him to reconsider. But he refused me and sent me away. What of you? When did the three of you, or did the three of you, have a chance to enter that lab after we first heard the will's contents?
Well, I have nothing to hide. I was in the lab. Oh. After Dr. Collodi's will reading, not before. I didn't read when I was in the lab.
Yes.
Don't mind me.
The question
I'm
is, were you
glitching.
in the lab at any time after his will reading? Because that's where he went right after finishing
Yep.
the will.
Okay.
To be fair,
Then
the
I
first
was in the
round
lab.
question was very bizarre as well. Like, when they were like, when was the last time you saw Dr. Collodi? But then it's like, oh, but we of course saw him after the will reading.
Well,
But,
it does say
like-
last time you saw him before tonight.
But that's such
yeah.
a weird way to phrase it, I feel like, in this
Okay,
context.
yeah, you're fair. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You got me there.
But moving on. I was tripped up by it too. I got confused.
I wandered the halls in quiet contemplation. And I decided that I didn't really want to buy this place with my inheritance. It is beautiful. The chasm reminds me of the sky, which I study and know so much about, but I just decided that I shouldn't worry myself with such earthly pursuits. But I was there briefly.
You know, Isabel, if you were there, what would you say then proves your innocence?
She's about to
Because
say that
I
she's
was-
Father's favorite.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Well, how about
To break
also-
character for a second, the little justification that Kyle told me to say was your daddy's favorite.
I know. That's how I know, because mine is nearly identical.
I'm his favorite daughter, and he's my favorite father. Yeah, you two have a lot of
Don't have-
overlap as the oldest and second youngest. You both pretty much
I'm the youngest now.
That's not how it works.
It is if I want it to be. After all, I am the favorite.
When I
Yeah, so
manage
now you
this
seem to
trust,
have
I'll
lots of,
ensure you receive Father's second worst writing utensil.
you seem to have a lot of, logics of, if you kill this one person, then the reality shifts around it. So perhaps that could have led you to the murder of father.
All I want is to be an only child. That is literally all I want. Killing my father is not going to get me that. I would have poisoned all of your teas.
But it could be one of those, oh, if I can't have my father, nobody else will have my father.
But I want my father. That's all I ever wanted.
It is, you see, this is a point stands here. Meanwhile, I have all of my plans. I mean, I would miss father, but I also have all of my plans with me.
So you won't miss him?
Oh no, I
now
will
that
miss
he's...
him greatly, especially because of
But,
the
like,
that it has
you
cost
have-
Mary.
Uh,
But
but you have like other concerns, like a baby and a Mary and
I mean,
plants.
yeah, I will confess my life. A life with plants is more complicated than one may think.
Like so complicated you have to murder your father?
No, I did not do
Oh,
that.
no.
That created more complications for me. In fact, as I have already
Did it now?
outlined.
Did it? All you got was a desk.
But it is a desk of perpetual. It's living in a way, just like all of my plants. I basically just got another kid
And
out
unlike
of
father,
all of my kid plants and my actual kid. That's
We
on the way.
digress from our true purpose here. Before that
Yeah.
insipid orb returns,
Poochie, justify yourself.
Yes,
both of
please.
you,
Thank you.
more than Poochie.
as the Italians say, merci beaucoup.
Do they?
They did. Once upon a time.
I would not know because both Italian and French are dead languages.
I've
And
never heard
German.
of these things. I know
The
it
world
for
of dead
so.
languages really is fascinating once you get into it.
Poochie, I don't think you're very good at things.
Oh, now you made Poochie sad. Poochie, I to make you feel better, I think you are good at two things: fraud and murder.
Good at fraud by accident.
Clarify yourself.
The fraud that I committed was simply because I thought I had an item that I then did not have. I found an ancient tome in the ruins, and I said, "Look, an ancient tome." But when I sold it to the man, it was just a farmer's almanac. I had nowhere to go with that one.
I was waiting. I was like, "What's the sound gonna be?"
Nope, I didn't know. Didn't know. It was like a recent farmer's almanac, not even an old cool one. And so I, Poochie, sold a man something he did not buy. Because I couldn't read the language on the tome!
Because it was a living language.
Father berated me for that one.
Did that make you angry, Poochie?
No, it made me sad.
Did this happen in the laboratory after the will reading?
I've never been in the laboratory.
Not even once?
There are no words there. There's nothing there for me. Father has been so upset with my mistakes that he simply doesn't allow me there.
Intriguing.
I think we have asked everybody except for Gordo. What proves
Yes,
your
Brother Goro.
innocence?
You have taken charge of this conversation, but haven't taken the responsibility of answering anything yourself.
And you are the most suspicious,
I am
which
the first
kind of
born.
makes you the least likely because
I
you're
am
not
the
very good at
only
stuff.
worthy heir to father's legacy,
Okay.
and that means I couldn't have done it. Anyway, Morph, you never explained if you were in the lab after the
Wait, no, no, no,
birthday.
no, no. Let's go back to Mr. Debates, who just said,
Isabel, I
"Oh,
don't want to hear it. You said you were father's favorite, and that proves you're innocent.
Oh
I
yeah,
said I'm the
this
oldest, and that
sounds
proves
like
me innocent.
detracting.
Well, who will it be?
Okay, but being
You
the
might know
oldest
everything
is
I'm going to
different
say, but
from
that's not going to
Dad
help
loving you
because
best.
I know everything you're going to say. Strange, isn't
Hey.
it?
You don't know everything I'm gonna say. Watermelon. Did you think I was gonna say that?
Yes.
You didn't.
You have no way to prove it.
I'm the favorite. I loved Dad. I couldn't have killed him. You're the oldest. You're sketchy. You could have killed him.
He has a point.
Anyway, Morph, were you in the lab?
Brother Goro, you have not
The
answered
way
your
this question is phrased, it's very strange. Hang on. No, I was not in the lab. I was in the toilet.
That is taken it directly from the module, and I sent it to Ari and said, "So we're gonna keep this, right?" And
The
she
thing
said
is, like,
yes.
the question is, were you by yourself? And so I was like, there's nothing about the lab, but I guess this is it.
The lab's the top question. It's the opposite side, but I think this still works as an excuse.
Where is it? Oh, okay, yeah, never mind. I mean, I was in the toilet afterwards, but I was in the lab, of course, because I showed him my dog Plantimore. Then I went to the toilet.
Of course.
Was
The
it to wash
toilet
your
was the
hands after
important part
murder?
of that evening. That's why that's all
Yes,
he thought
because
about. The toilet
That
was.
is where I was trying to create a toilet Plantimore.
You're sure it wasn't just another rendezvous with Mary? We're
Well,
not going to see
obviously, I mean, that
vines
also
covering all
was
over
part
the,
of it,
the
yes, but
bathroom and the hall.
Were you trying to make a toilet plantiform with Mary?
I mean,
What's the baby gonna look like?
Would be easier to meet up with Mary in the toilet if father was dead.
No, I can meet Mary anywhere because she is the AI for the entire house, except for now because she is distraught after all this unplanned murder. As I,
mean,
will.
it would explain why all of father's papers were shoved off the desk.
Oh, well, that has nothing to do. What? No, that.
Maybe it was a different kind of scream, if you know what I mean.
Oh my god. See, the intricacies of plant android AI baby bear bee plant is something that is not made for mortals to know. Only Mary and I
Only the
know the
desk,
intricacies.
the only immortal in this building.
Only murders in the... No. So, yes, that is all I have to say. I mean, I did see him, but I was to show him my dog, Plantimorph, and nothing else. The dog Plantimorph that Isabel is holding at the moment.
Look at this weird dog.
It is.
His eyes are so much wider than usual.
This very distressed dog just shoved into the limelight.
Anyways, I think you've got like one more
Gusto,
question in
Help
ya.
us solve the murder.
While chat talks about the puppy.
Goro, you know, you seem to be, right now when you talk, sometimes you get a little bit heated, you know, talking about fathers. So, are you sure, did you lose your temper, tonight, perhaps, and in the heat of the moment, murder our dear father?
Yes, I lost my temper, but I didn't kill father. He
Did he tell you you weren't his
always won.
favorite?
He always won there, I admit it. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied to rape me before the coals? I never could beat him. In fisticuffs.
So you went for an ice pick.
Perhaps
No!
fisticuff was
That's not what I'm saying.
one
I'm saying I
fisticuff
always
too
lost.
many.
I got mad and he kicked me out of the lab.
Any other
Sorry.
questions that anyone wants to ask?
The image of Dr. Collodi kicking his grown son out of the lab because he keeps losing to him in fights.
The idea of Dr. Collodi just kicking someone's ass at all was very funny to me because I always imagined him as being like, I imagined a stiff wind being able to knock over Dr. Collodi and him
Punches out this poor mannequin
like,
man.
I
with a
imagine if
bad
Misha
comb
had
over.
ever like seen Collodi face to face in the modern day, they could have looked at him wrong and he would have just evaporated into thin air. Would have been like one of those boss fights where you punch them once and they're fucking dead. All right. Any other questions people want to ask? Are we ready to
So the problem is everyone sounds suspicious.
And we don't know who was lying is the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. All right. Well, that's all right. Cubo is going to roll in. All right. I did it. I finished the investigation.
You did
yes.
it though.
I thought you were confessing to the murder.
No,
What solved the
goodness.
Would
problem
that we
if
could be
you
so lucky to be
confess?
I mean, I
Goodness
guess it is
heavens.
true that
You're
the
not a
community-
suspect, right? You
Why
should be a
aren't you a
suspect.
suspect?
Like you could
Yeah.
disappear as
You
we are
haven't even told
discussing
us your
motives.
secret knowledge of the murder scene.
I mean, yeah, you don't have arms,
And you
but
called
Are you
Jetco.
pleading out the murder
Why did you
scene
bring
when
them
you
here
leave?
so quickly? Before
I
we've
mean-
even had a chance to destroy Father's research.
I am the incalculable qualm of beneficial outputs. I literally exist to tell the truth. I am literally unable of lying in my programming.
well,
That is what
Poochie said that she
Poochie said.
couldn't lie either.
I can't.
Well, Poochie's a fucking liar then.
That directly contradicts the thing I just said.
Intriguing.
Anyways, I have figured out the murder. And in that time, I'm sure you've had more than enough time to identify the suspect, and they've had more than enough time to come forward. Now, as I said, I've already figured out the culprit, but I'd love to give my siblings the honor of accusing you first. Then I'll let each of the innocent explain their alibi, or simply state they didn't do it. I don't much care. The point is that perhaps in time you'll come to understand the gravity of your actions.
Are you sure we can't pick you?
Gravity.
You can pick
That
me.
would be incredibly funny.
You could pick me if you so wanted, but again, cannot lie in my code. Like, what do you want to know? I fucked up. I forgot some of the evidence. That's true. I already told everyone about more fucking the house, alright? That's also true.
Work on pollinating and plant terms, please.
Yeah,
Oh.
father just knocked Gora out with a stiff
Spirits.
punch.
I wasn't unconscious. I was still awake.
Poochie's on the
Hey.
run for like all kinds of fraud. And then Isabel, well, let's be honest, no one fucking likes Isabel. See, I can't lie. I literally cannot lie. It is not in my programming.
I'm
This
sorry.
is
What
why.
do you mean
This
no
is
one
why
likes
splitting the
Isabel?
estate is a foolish idea. If I simply had control of the estate,
Everybody
we would
likes
have
Isabel.
This conflict, this foolishness.
You're saying if you had control of the estate, Father would still be alive.
No, because whoever did this would have killed him anyway.
Speaking
Then
of,
what difference does your leadership possibly make?
alright, Poochie, nobody cares. Goro, I would like you to list to say who you believe the culprit to be, and any reasoning if you do have some.
Believe. Oh, Cubo, you smug fool. Just here to bait us out and get everyone to look like fools when we say the wrong person, is it? Well, you won't get the satisfaction from me because I'll be correct.
Okay.
And while there's suspicion enough to cast around, the final killer is you, Poochie Jarvis. You lied to us all night, but you thought, oh, I was sad, not angry. That would throw us off the scent. No, it was not rage that killed father, but cold calculus. All the mistakes had led up to this, and you couldn't let father just get away with this. No. You, the greatest liar of us all, had to put an end to him.
I can't lie.
Well, if you can't lie,
Bullshit,
Poochie.
Luigi.
If you can't lie, Poochie, then tell me the truth. Who do you truthfully believe was the culprit?
I, Poochie, have noticed that only one of us has declared an intent to kill tonight. And that is Sister Isabel. Although the intent to kill was not of father, I do believe it could have been misdirected somehow. And
It
that
wasn't.
she is fully understanding the gravity of her
Oh
situation.
my fucking god, did you really just make a gravity pun? It's
I am a lady.
disowned, written out of the will. Get out of our sight.
You can't write me out of the
You
will.
murdered
don't
father and then
have
you made
the
a pun.
leadership.
You murdered father and then you made a pun on his grave.
Isabel, who do you believe did the murder?
Well, I don't think Goro is good enough at things to have gotten away with it.
I would agree
Fuck
on
you
that
too.
front.
Or have done it at all. I mean, he got knocked out by Dad. So it's like
That is
really
true.
sad.
It wasn't every time, but it was a significant number of times.
Like, it's hard because Morph, like, were you in the bathroom? But then, Poochie, like, you seem really guilty. I guess. You know what? One of us will be right. So,
Are we gonna do this?
If we all
Are we gonna accuse
are we
each of
gonna
us
do
in
this?
turn?
Are we gonna do a round robin?
I think-
just around the clock.
maybe it was Morph.
Are we just gonna?
Yes!
This really, I will say, I do appreciate that you are all doing this, because even though it does mean that most of you are wrong, it makes it easy for me to, like, facilitate this. Speaking of Morph, you're up. Who did you think?
Well,
Goro,
yes,
right?
you know,
Gonna finish the trend, or...
but I mean, you know, I do still think that Poochie's good at fraud and murder. However, I do think that she did not commit this particular murder. I do believe that Gordo has gotten really tense about everything regarding
Yes.
father, and he has been leading the conversation a lot, trying to put the conversation away from him a lot. So I think that it is Goro who did this because truly, not really secretly, because we all know that he, in fact, does not agree or like father.
All right, then. We have all made our deductions. But as Jetco comes knocking on our door, I'll be there in a second. As Jetco comes knocking at our door, rather rudely, if I must say, only one of you is right. Now, out of consideration for Mary, I will start with who she was most worried about when going around and giving our alibis. So, Morph, you did not commit this murder, did you?
Oh, I did not. Of course not. First of all, as I said, this unplanned murder just made Mary distraught, and all of this situation with the baby I have not been able to discuss it with her because of this whole thing. But I also did think father was the best, and so him and I bonded in a very cosmic way here. And I also create, not destroy. Come on.
Okay, but I do want to clarify that even though you said you thought father was the best, I thought he was like the better best.
We all know that, Isabel.
You're still gonna make a fight over this, Isabel? At this point, I don't even want to tell everyone you're innocent, but unfortunately, I already did. Explain your alibi.
I'm father's favorite child.
That's a shit alibi, Isabel. I'll tell everyone. Isabel was staring at the fucking stars all night, alright? She almost fell off. I had to roll over and push her back. Do you know how hard it is when you're a tiny little basketball-sized ball? There was a big risk that she just tripped over me.
God, what a
I
fucking
still
awful
really
alibi.
actually think it was you.
You think it's
What a
me?
fucking awful
bad
alibi. Can you
alibi,
imagine
Sif.
having
Like-
such a ridiculous alibi?
I know that we just said
Isabel,
bullshit,
you
but
were
I
there
don't believe
with
it
me.
because that is such a bad alibi.
Isabel, we are each other's alibis.
You still could have done it.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
It would be a very dang
This
it grandpa moment if you had an alibi and had still done it. Cubo, that would be really funny, you've got to admit.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Goro. I have a question for you, Goro. I won't tell
want to know-
people because
Do you
you'll
want to
get
know
mad
my
at me.
alibi?
Yeah, did you do it, Goro?
No. I can lose my temper, it's true. I was there in the lab that night, twirling his favorite ice pick in my hands, just imagining how I could make him change my will. And yet, it's a foolish thing to do. I just wouldn't, because I'm not a fool. That's my alibi. I'll be fine on the money I have, and I'll build a new legacy. And it'll be better than anything that we could have had here.
You
So I
almost
didn't
did,
do
but
it.
you didn't. That's your alibi.
Yeah, that's my alibi. It's
I
great.
knew it.
It's
I only said
Please.
Goro because I wanted the round table, but I knew it was Pooch.
I knew it was Poochie.
I'm glad we were all on Poochie, but
But,
we were just
like-
like for the memes.
But once Poochie had said Isabel, it like
It had to.
It was important. Oh, Goro, oh, Goro. Oh, how I wish you were the one who had done the murder. But you,
don't we all?
Don't we all?
care to explain yourself to your siblings?
He's as the wise Portuguese used to say. That's fucking right, I killed him! I fixed his neck the same way he fixed my language centers. Do you know how hard it is to be bad at the only thing you care about? I know more anatomy than 90% of doctors combined. I'm more fashionable than Tommy Funbuck, and I have such good memory, I can tell you the exact color of the scarf our youngest sibling got days before the Collodi line shut down. It was violette, by the way. I'm bad at language and only language. But none of you care about that. No, you're wrapped up in your own little worlds, making up bullshit about debate, or plant people, or plant dogs, or stars that might as well be fiction for how arbitrary it all is. But no, Jetco understood. They told me all I had to do was stick one little surgical ice pick into Father's artery, creating a crime scene so they could confiscate all of his research before he destroyed it. In exchange, I'd not only receive the quite fine feeling of murdering that pretentious jerk, but I'd have all of my debts wiped clean. You may have found the culprit, but I've still won.
Oh, Poochie, this may be the only time I've ever respected you in our entire lives. But also, fuck you, Cubo. You've ruined everything.
Poochie,
You may not be the murderer, but you're the villain of tonight. Somehow.
Oh, I would say you would have gone away with it too if it wasn't for us meddling robots and our plant dog.
I will say, I
You didn't do
can't
shit more.
blame you for wanting to kill Father Poochie. He was an oafish man who thought more about his intellect than he actually thought with it. But to murder a man in service of a corporation, that merely replaces one master for another. And I would keep in mind, your new employers will need someone to shoulder the blame. I imagine that quite soon indeed, you'll wish that you had switched places with your creator. And that's the end of the session.
Escape. Kyle, I roll
Hey.
escape. I roll escape.
Roll me a 1d20. 11 or
wait.
higher, Poochie gets away.
I Poochie, more like bye Poochie.
Bye, Poochie. Poochie. Bye,
Poochie.
Poochie. Bye, Poochie. My planet needs me. I got a 3.
when attempting to escape Jetco, they pounce on Poochie and the glass floor breaks and all of them just fall into the Voil chasm.
What about the rest of us?
We're fine. We're cool.
Well,
actually, no, everyone else-
This game is hard.
Everyone else roll me a 1d20.
Have it
I
with
was
you.
not prepared.
Kyle,
Oh no.
Just do it online. Or
okay,
any
I'll do it
dice.
online.
My God.
Top half you die, bottom half sorry. Top half you live, bottom half you die. I'll do it
I
too.
rolled a 1.
Morph! You're leaving your father an orphaned child.
I'm
lived, motherfuckers.
A morphin child.
Okay, but what did you roll?
Goro.
What?
What did you roll?
I rolled a 16.
What'd you
Well,
roll?
I rolled 19.
Well, the 2 worst ones live.
Yeah,
That's
Kubo
bullshit.
rolled a
That's
9
bullshit.
too. Kubo's fucking dead.
That explains
Everyone-
that.
Everyone is dead except for Mary, Goro, the plant dog, 'cause I'm not killing that, and Isabel.
I
Isabel.
was never able
And
to
the unborn
discuss
child.
our child.
It's
with
just
Mary.
like Lay. It's just
Oh,
like
no.
Texas.
It's what happens when I make a weird accent that's not like.
They're all fucking dead.
It's Titanic all over again.
Yeah.
I like to think that because the floor has shattered, Isabel and Goro are just stuck in that house together. That's their ending.
Yeah, you
No.
jumped to the inside of the house.
No.
They're just
Yes,
Get out
and then
now.
they just like discuss how much they are the father's favorites.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, his corpse remains
I-
because Jetco never cleared it away.
I'm gonna
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the final 4 Jarvis models and 6
I'm
years
not
of
okay.
6 years of Quest friends. Thank you so much
Culminating
for
in this.
joining us. We're gonna be back with regular episodes in November. So we're gonna have a Halloween special, ideally, if we can get it recorded on October. And then we're gonna do regular sessions, because we've been recording those. Okay. I was just gonna say bye suddenly, but thank you so much again for watching. We will see you all
Bye, Poochie.
later.
Bye, Poochie.
Bye, Poochie.
Later. Bye, Poochie.
Poochie
Bye,
returned to her
Poochie.
home planet.